So today we shall talk about one particular question, that is in ELT, how to select literary texts. It means when we want to discuss or when we want to teach particular skills, we must keep in mind certain criteria, and those criteria are preconceived. They are related to basic skills. It means if you want to teach reading skills, writing skills, speaking skills, or listening skills, accordingly you have to keep in mind. But before we go to particular skill and particular selection of text, what things in general when we select a particular text should be kept in mind? Number one is that select that sort of a text which can arouse students' interest. It means when they listen to or when they read to, they should like it. They should involve themselves into the matter. This is the one thing. Moreover, you also keep in mind what is the need of my student. Sometimes the students may be very powerful in one particular skill. Suppose they are very good at writing, then you think that their spoken power is weak, so you want to teach them this particular skill of speaking. So for speaking, you should keep in mind particular text, that how they can be helpful. Suppose they are very much at ease in speech, and you think that they are not very good at listening skills. So what sort of listening skills texts can help them? So need of the student, first of all, is primary. Think about it in advance according to their understanding, according to their level, according to their position of acquiring the knowledge. Select what is the need, which skill they are weak, or in which skill you want to make them competent. Accordingly, text should be selected. Second thing is that how they would take interest, whether they would like it or not, whether they would involve themselves in the particular text or not. Accordingly, you select the text. Sometimes, third thing, whatever you teach them, they would be affected. They would be touched the way text comes before them. Linguistic power, the way characters speak, the way things have been put together, the way uh, plot is made, the way uh, view of the writer is there. These things, when you are talking to them, automatically touch to them, and that way, consciously or unconsciously, they are affected. So you keep in mind when you select one particular text whether these things would influence them or not, and you make efforts and they learn, and sometimes automatically, naturally, certain things they learn naturally, as if it is a inbuilt thing to get some ideas in mind. That way they are also affected. Another thing is to be kept in mind is that choose the book relevant to contemporary situation or real life situations. Sometimes fairy books may be helpful, but a fairy book may not be helpful to contemporary harsh situations. According to the particular time and according to their interest, selection of the book can be made. There may be students always thinking about the practical matters, and for them, if you give the book that is related to their time, they would enjoy more. It doesn't mean that you cannot teach the other book. It depends upon you whether you push them to take interest in certain matter. But if the book is having real life situations, they would like it. Another thing that uh, there are certain things people think that uh, their concern is showed there. Some issues of them are related. Right now we are facing the problems of corona. So if a work of corona is taught to you, you will think that yes, it is our problem. Some solutions have been thought there. A writer has given various views about it. It directly will touch to the readers or the learners. Same way, right now we are facing the problem of unemployment. If the text is related to this burning issue, some students will think that it is our problem. Certain people have faced it in a different way, and we shall face it in a different way. That way, the learner will think that this is my concern, this is my feeling, this is my ups and downs. Hence, that way he would involve himself. So these are the basic ideas when you select a particular text. Common things that should be keep in mind. Now we will go to selection of each skill. I mean basic skill. For example, suppose we want to teach reading skill. Which text? Suppose we want to teach them writing skill. Which text? Or which form? Not only the text, form also should be kept in mind. That way, because each skill will require different things. For example, when we talk about reading, then reading covers poems, plays. The reading of poem is different because it will require certain rhythm, following of the rhyme scheme, and a kind of music is to be created. Those things are kept in mind. So when we think about reading, it is a different matter. According to text should be selected. And when we think about reading of a play, then there are dialogues, and certain tones also play importance. Certain rhythm is also there. Sometimes the dialogue may be slow, sometimes going fast, sometimes loud. These things kept in mind. So when you select particular skill to be taught, then certain forms will be helpful. One has to think which skill and which form should I keep in mind. Anything, we know that when we talk about literature is not in isolation. It means novel is taught not for the sake of only story. Just you read and that's all. No. With that, there are many things. Not only the communication skills, but students also come to know about oral matters, written matters, some literary things. They are also kept in mind that I am learning novel, forms of novel, types of novels, background of the novel, history of the novel. So these are additional things also one has to keep in mind while selecting the particular text. Now we go to keep in our mind one particular skill. It means now I'm talking about one skill, that is a reading skill. Suppose we want to teach the learners reading skills. What can be done? First of all, when we talk about English speaking language or English as a foreign language, student centered approach should be kept in mind. Means uh, how students will like this, how students will understand this, how they would be benefited, because our purpose is to teach the student reading. He should be able to read well, and for that select that thing I mean text, where certain things you have in mind. For example, you can teach them comprehension, or reading lessons can be there, and that way, look, you want to teach them reading, how reading should be done. So you give them a passage and then you say, read it one time, two time. I will give you some questions and you have to answer it. So to answer the questions, maybe small questions in the beginning, they will read. They will read closely. They will try to understand. They will not read just lines only going through, but paying attention to each word. That way, they will understand the value of the word. That each word I have to keep in mind. Each word has meaning. Each word is composed in a right manner, right place, right position. So, for composition, reading can be given. And in the beginning, you can ask the questions related to facts only. Remember, what sort of questions you can give. Mind well, our purpose is to make the students read well. So you select that this is the passage, comprehension can be given, and simple questions. In the beginning, you do this. You ask the questions about some of the characters, that in this passage, what are the characters that you have come across? How uh, what is the particular day, what is the particular year, what is the name of these persons, or what is the name of the profession of this particular character, means factual things, facts, they can be done in the beginning. So in a reading, select a text where you can ask simple questions, compositional questions. Second thing, you go ahead. This is the primary thing, to ask factual questions. Second thing, in your selected text, ask the students to pay attention to, when they read, what is the theme, what is the character, what is the background, what is the setting. So it means when they read, these approaches, these things will be in their mind, that my reading should find out various characters. My mind should reveal the design of the particular work, in which reference background this work has come. So that is how he will try to understand the writer's point of view. So that is secondary thing. You push the students to read with these things in mind. So his reading becomes more clear. And third thing, and that is you stimulate students to think about imaginative works, imaginative things. It means their problem solving abilities. Means they would begin to think, uh, why these things have happened to a particular character. If I do this, his problems can be solved. Cannot he do this? It means the work is finished, but then his mind begins to think. So reading incites him for certain thinking. It will be creative. It will take it, take him into the particular condition of the characters. Those things are beyond the text. It means reading makes the man think. Reading leads him for certain views, and that way enriches him. So these things should be kept in mind while you want to teach him reading skills. That sort of material you should select. Now we talk about literature and writing. It means We want to teach our students how writing can be learned. What are the ways to learn this particular skill? A teacher will keep in mind that he is a speaker, he is a listeners, he is a students learn writing skill. For writing, there are many ways. Literature, the texts or models, literary texts, it is a basic source, primary source for writing, because you have a lot of collections of poems, story collections, novels and plays. Out of them, to teach them how to write, you can select any model. And when the student reads it, you ask them how to write. Remember, our purpose is to teach a student how to write. We want to help them for writing skills. So you can select any text. I give you one example, and with that you will try to understand. You select one small poem, maybe 8 lines or only 4 lines. You must have come across a very small poem of Napoleon. Hardly there are 5 to 6 lines. Select that and ask the student that you read, and then you have to write about this poem. Now student will read 7 to 8 lines. Do you think that they will copy the poem? They will not copy the poem because they will not be able to remember 8 lines. But you ask them, what do you see in the poem? I mean, how did you find the poem? Write the summary. So summary will be very easy for them to write. It means they will start writing. They will have to write. They will write sentences, maybe 5 sentences, maybe 6 sentences. Some students may be very poor, only 1 or 2 sentences, but they write. And you want to help them to write. So that is the basic source. A poem, just I mentioned. Then you can go further. You can select a story also, maybe 3 or 4 pages story, and ask the students to rewrite the story or write the summary of the story. Often, in the first year students, we ask the question that write the summary of the poem. What is the purpose of writing the summary? We want to just see whether one is able to write the particular poem or not. That way, writing skill is to be understood. When you say that appreciate the poem or analyze the poem, you want to test the student's ability to understand. I mean, comprehension skill you want to test, and that way he would write. Means how he read the poem, that is the reading skill comes into across, and ultimately that comes to writing skill also. As we talked that no skill is working in isolation. So for writing skills, the primary model, a poem, a short story, you can ask them to first of all just copying the thing if it is a very small thing, or you can ask about the summary of the particular work, and later on you can also ask them to imitate its content or theme, organization of some certain things, or you can say what is his style. This is how student will try to exhibit their original thinking and begin to interpret a particular way. But there are other things also. A student will think creatively about writing one particular thing. The things which are not mentioned in the poem, means not word to word. He has to be very creative. In his words, he is trying to write, and hence his understanding of the language, his uses of words, his way of writing, his sentences, means sentence patterns, what knowledge he has of the language would come into example. resistance. That way it helps. Now, to do this, to make the students write, there are some more ways. There are three levels to teach the students of writing. Uh, First is controlled writing. Remember, we are trying to make the students write. So three levels can be thought of. First is controlled writing. In controlled writing, you give the passage and students merely copy them and they begin to imitate the passage, and that way they will understand the particular structures, that here this word is used, that word is used, synonym can be thought of. So this is the controlled writing, and this is the first level, primary level. He only copies from the uh, given work, or you can say rewrite the story in your words. Story is one, but you are asking the student to write the story in his words, so that way writing comes out. So that is controlled writing. Second thing is guided writing. So in guided writing, the student goes to the intermediate level. This is the second level, you can say, where he would try to find out putting the sentences together, some of the phrases and clauses he would pay attention, and he would try to summarize the thing, because the story is big and he has to put into very few words, and he would do the paraphrase, description. Look, if there is a poem and if you wish them that he should write intermediate level, second level, ask the student that you paraphrase the poem, one stanza, and you ask him what did he understand about that stanza. That is paraphrasing. In poem, paraphrasing or summary can be helpful, or even in a short story summary can be helpful, but if it is a longer work it would be very difficult one. This is the second level to teach our learners how to write. Making summary, paraphrases, reconstruction requires there. And third thing, that is reproducing the model. Here, uh, students' activity related to his thinking or paying attention to the particular work will come out. Here, it is the third level. Students' innate qualities will come out. It means you will ask the student that how will you end this story, means you forget whatever the end is given by the writer. What should be the end according to you? The student will write another end which is not thought by the writer. So that is reproducing the work. Or suppose you say that uh, you are that character in this particular novel. How will you face the problem? So the way that character has faced the problem would be different to you. You will have your own view. Or you can say you write the letter to the character that you do this and you do that. Student will write. Or you can also ask the student that you write the letter to the author, and then the student will write that why did you, and you know that many novels are published in magazines, and a lot of readers would write to the author that why did you kill particular character, or this is not good and this is very bad. Writing skill comes into play. Or you can say that you uh, this is a play, and suppose you have to tell the story, so changing the form, it also serves as reproducing the model. Play is put into story, or a story you can ask the student to translate into another form. Story is shifted, changed into play also. That way writing can be taught. So that is how you select particular text according to your need and put these practices in uh, classrooms or wherever things are taking place, so that the student will learn how to write.